the Honourable Member for Ijibitari. Honourable Member, correction. I'm always remembering your former district, so Honourable Member for Popondetta.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Thank you again. You recognize people of Popondetta Open. We'd like to thank you, Minister of Health, statement belong emna. We like seeking Parliament take note statement belong emna. We like debating this last statement, so me asking. Me move and Parliament take note now. People are debating.
Thank you. Make your speech.
Okay, thank you. Before me commending Minister of Health, let me take this opportunity to recognize statement of Prime Minister and talk thank you all visits belong em were all very important visits I make him meet one time or some important line lo Narpla country, particularly people in status of presidents now, prime ministers now, all this line, all important meetings where Prime Minister he goes. So I like congratulate him, Prime Minister, lo undertake him this law, lo try and create him bilateral agreements now, bilateral discussions, lo help him country blow yumi. Now me like encourage him all ministers where particularly all areas where Prime Minister me engage one time all Narpla foreign prime ministers na president, all ministers lo take note, lo this all important discussions and departments to take note of those discussions and to progress those discussions to a point where we can start exporting to those countries that where we having bilateral discussions one time. So me like commending Prime Minister on his successful trip. 100 days statement, Minister of Health, that's very important. And I would like to encourage all ministers to deliver their plans to this House. So maybe I can debate him, Naharem, what their plans are. Plans are important. Plan sets a pathway for every organization, even right down to an individual. Without a plan, we are bound to fail. So plan gives us a guidance on what we need to achieve as an organization or as a country. So those particular guidelines that Minister Miauti Miamamas. So I want to encourage other ministers to partake in those important guidelines where Minister Miauti departments blow so that we can all participate in those key areas. Side belong health, important. It's so important for the well-being of our country. I'd like to thank you, Minister, these are important areas by you addressing. The last term of Parliament, as a member for Ijibitari, we found that it was difficult to try and address all the sectors. So what we did was that we put a plan in place and we addressed one sector at a time. And in the last term of Parliament, we set out to achieve about focusing strongly on our health within our district. And within that period of that 5 years, we went out and we built a number of aid posts. We even went to the point that we upgraded or refurbished 2 of our health centers. We even purchased a 1 million kina water treatment plant for our St. Margaret's District Hospital as part of our effort to build our health facilities and infrastructure to ensure that we provide the best health for our people. We even went to the extent to buy sea ambulances for our coastal communities. We bought land ambulances for all our health centers to make sure that we are able to provide the necessary service to our people. So this work people are making in the 5 years. Now, what we realized is that whilst we are building all the health facilities, now providing all the logistics to move people from the health centers or aid posts to the hospitals, one plus something people I find him is that there were 2 things that were missing in this entire system where Minister addressed him inside of speech program. Number 1 is medicines or medical drugs. Number 2 is the health workers on the ground. Lo side belong medical drugs, the medicine, we always use plenty of talk lack of drugs in the country, but that's not true. In fact, if you go to a medical health store in Ley, medical health store in Port Moresby, there is a lot of medical drugs in those facilities. But it's our ability to get those medical drugs and medicines to our aid posts, to our health centers, to our hospitals. That is our biggest problem here. And if we cannot get these medical drugs and medicines to our aid posts and health centers, I guarantee you that you will find them being sold on the streets. People are taking advantage of our lack of ability to get the medicines to the drugs. Now, man will steal him, or there is a syndicate within that system where only work around drugs, these medical facilities, and getting them to the streets and then selling them. Some of these medicines that have been sold are outdated medicines, posing medical threats to the people who are buying these things. Doctor and good minister, we have the medicine in our country. What we should be looking at is how best can we utilize our systems we have. If the systems in our country, if our people that run hire car companies that deliver these medical drugs cannot do this, then let's look outside. Let's source somebody to do this delivery of our medical drugs properly. We are dealing with our people's lives. Now, in the last term, we've been carrying one business, one Australian company. We've been introducing former Minister of Health. And we carrying one proposal where I believe it would have addressed a lot of our supply chain issues within the country of delivering medical drugs to our people. And the idea was to use drones. Defense, high-tech drones that they use by the US military using. They were going to use the drones to deliver the medical drugs in our country. And these medical drugs would be kept in their facilities. In other words, we don't pay for the medical drugs. They store the medical drugs and they only invoice us when they deliver the medical drugs to our people. And this is a high-tech way of delivering medicine. So what they would do is they would use drones and GPS. And then they would then say, example, housing, health center, aid post, renim, this facility na talk. We have somebody with a snake bite, we need medicine within the next 30 minutes. And with the technology they have, they can deliver medicine within 2 to 20 minutes, depending on where that location is. And because it's GPS, they will put the GPS, one time this parachute na, put him on top of this drone na, carry him go to this place where man need him. And then drop the parachute and it will drop at the specific spot where the GPS mark him. They get the medicine, treat the patient, and we save a life. These are high-tech, but we can utilize it to our advantage. Why? Because we don't have roads, we don't have airstrips, we don't have tracks. We can use technology to solve many of these problems. Minister, it got lost somewhere along the line, and new Minister of Health, come back to you to look at this proposal. Why? Because our people's lives are important. If we use simple things like this, I believe we can address a lot of the issues faced in our aid post health centers and hospitals. Where drugs is not an issue, we have them in the country, but it's our ability to get it to our people that need it at the most. So, Minister, you also address him issue along the level of our health workers is dropping. True. But let me give you a good example. Last year, I give him some money go St. Margaret's medical school. But that money is not sufficient to keep that school running. So they closed mid this year, and it's still closed. So if you are talking about training more people, why are these medical facilities or training institutes shutting down? That's our biggest problem. Thinking that there are certain institutions where they are important to, like health, for example. Rausim long higher education and pack it with health, and it becomes your full responsibility not only to put them into the housing, but you train them and you get them into the health centers. Maybe that's one way of solving the problem we have. I'm just thinking, Minister. So I believe, my good minister, if we can address these issues through these simple methods, I believe we can solve a lot of our problems. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.